All right, everyone, and welcome back to the MKWC 2026 for our second quarterfinals matchup of the tournament. We have USA versus Italy today, a very interesting one once again. And I mean, at this point, all of the matches are interesting, but really looking forward to see um, these two teams today. And I am joined this time by my good friend Spicy. How are you doing? And what are you looking forward to with this matchup?
Thanks, Mitch. Always happy to be on the mic here. And yeah, as you rematch at this point is very Italy. One heck of a quarterfinal that we have here. The US has been undefeated up until this point, going preliminary group stage, even beating teams like Japan. Italy also having a ton of amazing matches, going notably having Spain there also. So really great stuff. It's one of those like exciting matchups here. I'm just excited to see kind of like a matchup where two teams with a lot of like great chemistry within each other should be really good here as well.
Yeah, like you said, U.S. undefeated so far, including in their first bracket stage match, and Italy with two impressive wins yesterday, and even, debatably more impressively, the tie they had in the prelim bracket versus Team Spain. A very impressive showing from them, as uh, very capable of playing against this team. I'm really looking forward to seeing them as we flip over to our lineups here. US being our host team today. We have Arizu, AJ, CP, Oxy, Pepe, and Yoshira, and a very similar lineup to what we saw last week on our cast. Notably, though, AJ coming in today, and the captain of the team also being our POV that we are watching. So, very excited to see him for the first time.
Yeah, for sure. AJ definitely one of those players here, really with the entirety of this team. A lot of high talent across the board. Basically, the entire team representing Nexus as well. Rano Arez representing the chorus. So, and you mentioned like AJ as well coming into this. One of those players here. You also have players like Yoshiro, who's been doing so well in terms of the individual scoring. And everyone on this team knows what they can do in terms of running ability, in terms of how they're going to navigate team play. It is just such a solid group. It's no wonder they've been so strong up to this point.
Yeah, and again, a lot of different play styles from all these players that bring a lot to the table and contribute in different ways, and that's something really unique about Spain, or sorry, USA in particular. And so, really looking forward to seeing AJ's perspective, particularly as he will be our POV. As we switch over to Team Italy, a team with again, like I said, a very interesting start to their World Cup. We've got Arujo, Domenico, Dugo, Multi, Nico, and Rapolo. Rapolo being our POV for this one as well. So two very unique perspectives from these two teams. And we did get to see Italy, not in the bracket stage, but in the prelim bracket stage, and a very strong showing nonetheless. A very unique play style. We've talked about how they thrive in that mid-pack play, particularly players like Dugo, who have been excelling in that department for many years across all of the Mario Kart games. And as we can see, their match yesterday against South Korea, two very convincing wins, plus 50 and plus 56. So very strong showings from them. And in terms of who is going to be the biggest scorer, looking for players like Domenico, who has strong experience, I believe, peak Diamond in Lounge, if not higher, but I believe Diamond. So a very solid individual player, and looking forward to seeing him in the front for Italy.
Yeah, Domenico had a great performance yesterday against South Korea, averaging over 100 across both of their games there. And you mentioned it, Italy having just such a strong mid-pack play, which has really defined not just this tournament run, but really a lot of how Italy has played in other games, as you have discussed. So it's one of those just beautiful things to be watching, that kind of dynamic where two teams really strong across the entirety of the order, where you're going to be seeing a lot of contesting up for those front spots especially at the end where you're going to probably be seeing a ton of items being thrown in like really precise and aggressive manners, just to be able to see who's going to be able to salvage or steal any extra points right at the end.
Yeah, for sure. As it appears, looking at the lobby, we have 11 in, so very close to starting here. And AJ also hosting the match, as we can see. Italy having Nico and Domenico start in second and third, and again, with the alternate joining spots for the top four, I think Italy making a strong decision, placing arguably their two strongest runners in those 2-3 to maximize their chances of having a breakout race 1 for their team. As we do see, once again, yes, AJ and Rapolo are two POVs, and looks like we are getting started in just a moment here.
Yeah, and it's really cool seeing how this rule has been already implemented and been adapted to at this point in this tournament here. Being able to put your 2 and 3 in like such precise ways with such intention does allow for counterplay despite not being the hosting team. So especially with Italy, being able to contest up there with AJ right away, knowing that they have presence as well right behind in case they're able to take out first, does lead very well into what Italy's game plan will likely end up being here. But US, such a strong group, been undefeated up to this point, looking to stay undefeated here in this campaign. Should be really excited to see what we got going in, as we already get a chance to see what the first map is going to be.
Yeah, looks like going into it, we have Mario Bros. Circuit, presuming, yeah, to be an Italy pick here. And for those 2-3 spots could be an advantage for particularly third place. I believe, like I said, was Domenico, who has a really easy access to that sign. No item shortcut here. And yeah, we are off. We do see actually both of Italy's players 2-3 opting to go around, so giving fourth place a free shot at that sign. And okay, so USA is red, Italy is blue, so that's important to note here, as we do see a decent amount of blue already in the front going into lap 1 here. Green pole by Rapolo. He does trail a player, didn't quite catch who that was. But triple shrooms in pocket, again, big factor from the update. Pulling the shrooms early. Unfortunately failing the shroom cut though, so he's going to lose a decent amount of time as we see AJ entering the rail, getting bumped by, I think, his teammate from behind him actually. I think I caught a Toadette, so he is off the rail, but paving his way for his team by throwing that coin shell. And now USA are back in a decent amount of tops, I believe 135 at the moment. I believe Spicy's mic might be having some issues. Yeah, I see his Discord is lighting up, but no sound coming from it, so we'll have to see if he can get that fixed. In the meantime, though, looking at the pack now, top 3 suddenly for USA out of nowhere, top 3-5 even. Italy really need some desperate play here. Aruko has triple reds in 6th, so potentially could hit out. That is Oxy in 5th, and he does. Horn coming in, though, from 3rd place onto Nico. That's huge. Saber being a Rizu, trading out of it, but this top 2 from the USA is just gone, and they're going to end very solidly here in top 2, and potentially even more, as that's Saber getting hit out on the line, but I think that's still a top 2, 4, 5 regardless. A very strong start for USA. Yeah, top 2, 4, 5, 10, 11, but a very, very strong start. And that was, yeah, Yoshira and CPE up in the top 2. Very solid start for them as they take a very early convincing lead. I believe 16 points, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so a very strong start for them. And yeah, very interesting how Italy did not go for that early Nisk. Like I said, I think both 2 and 3 went around, and that gave a clear opportunity for Team USA to take it. And potentially costing them there. The start of that track is just so important. Okay, being updated on the situation, it looks like Spicy is having some internet issues, so it is, well, not his mic, but potentially his internet. So we will see if he can get back. I mean, very on brand, though. This weekend, we have been plagued by internet issues just across the media team. Many of our stream hosts, you know, Luckyosnet barely surviving last night. We had AJ had an issue during the cast earlier. Several stream hosts who just weren't able to stream host at all suddenly. So, you know, happens sometimes, but we will make do with what we can here as we enter the second race of our match. Salty, surely a USA pick, very solid for those starting top spots, as we see Yoshira holding on to first still for Team USA. AJ, a bit of a rough start, having to bag, but trying to get his get these better items and potentially coins up here too. Yeah, a lot of coins in for him now, 11 up to 11. As now we enter the lap, he's going to actually hold on to that bill, and I like that play. There is a lot of time for him to carry that up to a better spot, potentially. As we switch to Rapolo here in 8th place, a lot of Italy in this mid-pack, but again, as we've talked about so far, Italy thriving in this mid-pack. This is where they excel the most when it comes to their individual play. But Red's back from, I believe that was Arizu, and Yoshira gone in first. With a lot of USA supporting behind, this is looking rough. I believe a shock is going to be needed for Italy to catch this lead. But we do see Rapolo with the blue shell. He is going to throw it, so that's going to minimize the lead for Yoshira, but never mind, he went in a ghost. So he is just straight up dodging that blue shell, no questions asked. As we switch back to AJ, this is a top 4 right now for Team USA. AJ unfortunately not making the rail though, gonna have to go around, but I believe still holding on to his spot as there is the shock coming in from Italy. I believe target shocking 2nd and 3rd. They did not care to target shock Yoshira since he's already so far ahead. We do see an Italian member in 2nd now, and 3rd from a ghost, I believe. So a bit of a salvage, but I just don't know if this is enough to win the race. Uncharacteristic fail there from AJ. He doesn't drift tight enough and falls off that sidewalk into the water, so losing a good amount of spots. Potentially more of a salvage there from Italy, as they do end up with 2-3, but a 1-4-5-6. Still a quite strong race, and Yoshira benefiting. I believe his pull on the first 2 sets was Triple Shroom's Ghost, as he was able to hold his spot and gain a breakaway and also dodge the blue. So very solid pulls for him. And now we are looking at a very, very solid start for Team USA. Doing a bit of a solo cast right now, needing to take a break for a bit for some water here, but going into race 3. The Sky High pick coming in for Team USA. Track we've talked about so much in these casts, being just such a strong track for these opening top spots. Off we go on race 3. And let's see. Missed boxes for both our POVs, actually, so they are both going to start in the back here. As we now have both of them going for this double here. Rapolo missing his 2nd box now, so he is very much in a a rough spot at the start of this race, as now AJ with a very strong pull off that second set goes triple shrooms. He does have a lot of teammates in front of him right now, so probably going to opt to hold the ghost to not steal his teammate shrooms, as there's an Italian member off the track right there. So 2-3 still being held by them, but could have been much more. This is like a 1-4-5-6, so the starting spots from the prior race still being maintained by USA at the moment. Yoshira having a bit of a time trial right now, very little contest, as it is multi in second. So the threat is still there for Yoshira, but at the moment, and as I say it, there he does spin out, and he is off the track. That's suddenly a top 2 now for Italy, a big swing back in their favor, as we do see 2 Italian members here also goldening up. Big potential for them to get back in the race now. We do see Fire come up. I think that does hit an Italian member off the track. That is quite unfortunate for them. Yeah, we do see them all the way back to last now, but Rapolo himself in quite a strong position, as USA are actually doing a lot of catch-up right now. They have suddenly found themselves back in first and a lot of the mid spots on this lap 3. AJ himself goldening into the finish line, but I don't think he actually lost spots, even though goldening, because of the bullet bill, a very strong item for the end of the race. And yeah, what a big swing suddenly on lap 3 for Team USA. Top 4 suddenly being reclaimed for them, and definitely off of those catch-up items on lap 3, like those goldens, bills, megas that really benefit in the later stages of the race. And despite Italy doing their best efforts in those 2-3 and eventually taking the tops, it just was not enough.
Yeah, it's been actually really difficult from what I've been able to see here. Italy just trying to see anything they can do to really just break into those top spots, but the US, knowing especially that is one of their best strengths, just maintaining tops and having the team coordination also to kind of protect. It's just been a big theme so far of how the US has been able to establish such a big lead early on at this point, already 50 after the first 3 races.
Yeah, what a strong start for Team USA here as we chain into yet another running track picked from Team USA. Bowser's Castle coming in. Actually, wait, was that a Team USA pick? I think at the very last second it looked like it may not have been. I actually don't know, but can only assume, just because of how strong this track can be for tops, and with USA being such a strong coordinated team as they are, they have a very good chance to keep those top spots by spacing correctly and taking the right cuts, as we do see Rapolo make it over with Shrooms actually gaining first. And yeah, USA in second, but I think Italy taking a big advantage, as I think they're 1-3-4 after that start. So maybe this was an Italy's pick after all, as they have capitalized really well on this start.
Oh, such a rough ghost there. Polo getting ghosted while in the lava cut, and they had triple shrooms, and that was such a pivotal moment there as well, considering that Italy was positioned so nicely to really establish a breakaway. But now it's the red team, it's the US up in that first place spot. You do see at least 2-3 here from Italy, from Nico as well as Rapolo, but what was going to be such a strong Italy run is now US favorite at the moment.
Yeah, that was actually Pepe in second place, who waited to ghost Rapolo Shrooms when he was in the cut. A very calculated play that paid off big for him, as he should still have Shrooms in the front, barring he was also ghosted. We'll have to see. Yeah, he's taking the cut now, so he is very confidently in first place at the moment. And a 1-3-4 for USA, Yoshira building up as well, looking like another race where USA breaks away very strongly here.
even with back presence at the moment, it's not really going to do too much unless there's a couple of big plays happening here. Really having to watch for some of those big items to make a dent into what's been so far really strong run there for Pepe. There is a shock in play here. You see a few people moving on up here as well, and just trying to see what's going to happen. Apollo going to fail to cut, unfortunately, here, as you still see a bunch of runs now from Pepe, but also a couple other players now trying to move on up and see what they can do in this mid-pack.
And again, Italy know what they're doing in this mid-pack. They can potentially make a play, as we do see an Italian member bill early. I believe they were forced to use it because they were failing the NIST, but it does do the job. It keeps them comfortably in third place, as we do see, yeah, it was a Ruho. And AJ with a very clutch room at the end, managing to hold on to fourth. So a 1-4 still for Team USA, and I believe a bottom 2 for Italy. So this potentially, yeah, still going to be a winning race for them. Bottom 3 for Italy. Despite the shock that, by the way, that target shocked 3 USA players alongside Rapolo. But, I mean, Rapolo wasn't target shocked. He just wasn't able to make it afterwards. But very strong target shock from Team Italy, but Pepe, just with the breakaway he had, was just able to hold on first and salvage.
Yeah, and it's another double-digit win here for the U.S., who are already up 60 after the first 4 races. I know it is still 8 races left to go, and you still have a second game, but Italy definitely looking to just get something on the board here, either stop this U.S. momentum or at least start chipping away at this lead here. Whistle Stop Summit being an option in play now, starting to see Crown City make its way into the roulette. We do find ourselves going up into Whistle Stop Summit here. So, opportunity now for both these teams to just try and make something happen here. But just watching who's going to be able to be positioned up over on the left side, get immediate access to the rail, and then also see with these first couple of item sets, where are we going to be able to have those shrooms pull up forward, really establish that breakaway here. With the amount of talent there is in this front running, it should be a possibility for these teams to really get something, make M matters happen here, and see what we got here. Rapolo trying to see what they're going to be able to pull over here at this next item set. Not going to be able to get anything though. Currently see US member up in top spots. Few other players going around, and with the gap, you do see a couple changes up in this pack here, but now really with this cut incoming, matter of seeing who's going to be able to execute this nicely. And starting to see US looks like they're getting a couple members up in top 2. You see AJ as well, really fighting everyone now here on these rails. Opportunity to make and see if they're able to get this break. Unfortunately, not going to completely hit Red Rock, and Kamek also in play, but different matters as we try to see what else going to happen here in this mid-pack lap 2. See we're both with those full reds. Had Kamek also in play, Boomerang as well. Just seeing both these teams, are we going to be able to get anything here? Any big changes? It looks like a big US run at the moment, but there's Blue Shell in play. Fire coming in, Boomerang here, Oxy in first, AJ in 2, and it's still a lot of this US up in here in the top spots. It looks like it might be a bottom 4 for Italy at the moment in lap 3.
Looking dire now for Italy. They are needing shock once again here, as look at all of these Italian players back here as we switch to Rapolo. Pulling a golden, but not what he needs. He is hoping for their sake they have at least one bullet bill being held by an Italian member. Yep, there goes one. There goes 2 bills for Italy. But I just don't know how much that's going to do. AJ unfortunately failing and respawning there. Very unfortunate for him, but respawn dodging the shock, as we do see CP also dodging up as well. I believe that's a top 2, 4, and 6 still being held by USA. So yet again, another strong race, and I think a bottom 2 for Italy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, the US just keeps coming here with a bunch of these big wins, almost at 100 before the first half even ends, and it's just been looking dominant so far from this US team, undefeated for a reason. And even when Italy has like those moments where they're able to steal some spots at the end, like they've been able to do in a lot of their previous matches, it just hasn't really been enough. And the US, especially when it comes to that front running, and a group front run, especially, it's just been really hard to break through at this moment for this Italian team.
Yeah, it's, seeming to be the theme of this match so far. USA dominating in the front. And with the running talent this team has, players like CP, players like Arizu, it's going to be really challenging for Italy to contest. But something we need to keep in mind here as we go into Shy Guy Bazaar, yet another strong running track, and USA chaining all these tracks in a row. It is starting, potential contribution to their lead at the moment.
Just being able to chain front running tracks, especially, it really just goes into what this U.S. strengths have been so far in this war, has also just given them the opportunity to establish this kind of front run, which is a big momentum thing going into the next war as well, going into game 2. Trying to see if Italy has any responses at the moment. They are really contesting up at top spots, trying to see if they can get a few more members up there. Rapolo does have those 2 of the 3 shrooms available, and there is potential here for them to make something happen. Currently, it is still the U.S. up in tops, but Italy is right behind in 2-3.
Yeah, Italy actually making something out of, seemingly nothing at the start with the starting spots they had, as they currently are in 2-3-5, and I believe it is not Yoshiro. We see him here, so I think that's Arizu in first place, doing what he does best, running it up in first at the moment, as he does have pressure from Italy, as they are actually a decent amount of top spots, 2-3-5-6, so USA not completely safe at the moment. And entering lap 3, that is Yoshira getting taken out, but taking down Rapolo with him there. And Rapolo gonna go for this red after Pepe's Mega ends. That's a big play, as he is now off the track. And this is suddenly a 2-6 for Italy.
Yeah, 2-6 from Italy as well as last place. Have to wonder what's in play at the very back spot here, as well as what's the counterplay going to be. The bullet bill now in last year. There's 3 bills in play at the moment. And you do see that this is a great spot for Italy to be in here, having everything behind first. They can hold on to this, really potentially put a dent into what's been nothing but the U.S. Quite a few players streaming on up at the end, trying to see what spots are being taken. We know that first likely is going to Arizu, but here we are trying to see what the rest of the spots are going to fall in. And you do see actually a 1-3-5-7-8 and 3 of the bot 4 for Italy.
Yeah, USA doing a great job catching up on that lap 3. And did want to note, all 3 bills on lap 3 were from USA. It was AJ, Yoshira, and Pepe all in a row coming up at the end, and with good items afterwards as well. Something very underrated that you may not consider, but using a golden or using a bullet bill to catch up just by itself may not do enough when it comes to catching up, but specifically with the bullet bill, if you can bill up at the end, towards the end of a race, and have a golden in pocket, have a mega in pocket, that's what really can make the difference. And we saw all 3 of the players from Team USA have some good items behind to mount that comeback, and it paid off huge for them as they end up winning that race, despite how strong it looked for Italy at the start of lap 3. So very well played from USA.
Yeah, in a way, it's actually giving Italy a taste of its own medicine, where the U.S. actually able to salvage and kind of turn the race at the very end there, do what Italy has been so strong at before, and really just making use of not just bullet bill, but also the strong items at the end. Really strong when you consider that a lot of the courses in this game do have that like last off-road cut that bullet bills just traditionally just can't take, so it does allow for those extra spots to be taken. Here we are though, on Wario Stadium, immediately just trying to see in this opening back who's going to be able to get up into the front, who's going to be able to just stay alive. See Multi as well as Domenico up here in the top 2 at the moment for Italy. AJ right behind, really contesting, as Multi does have the triple shrooms up there, taking Valor, and it's going to be able to be in first place for a bit here.
Very interesting red. I'm assuming it was lag because it just skips all the players. Actually, no, I think it... Okay, now I remember. So what happens on that specific strat is if a red is going for you and you reach the top of the rail in time, like you beat out the red, it will stop targeting you. It just it falls down to the bottom again and breaks. So good on Multi for getting up there fast enough, as he is able to hold on to the first with those shrooms, but that is Arizu contesting him in second place. If there's any player you do not want racing behind you, it is him, as we enter this lap 2. Both players making the Valor strat, but still a decent amount of Italy in the top spots, all things considered. AJ getting a low box behind his triple shrooms, but it is a golden shell. Unfortunately, not what he was looking for. Actually, it was Rapolo, sorry, I was completely mistaken. As now, actual AJ POV in first now with these triple reds, going for back spams onto Italy on the rail. And I believe that one may have connected, as now a top 2 suddenly for USA.
Yeah, AJ and CPE up in those top 2, and they both had triples at one point there. Domenico does have the triple bananas, but it's not exactly an item you want to be having in terms of playing aggressive here. Rapolo going to be able to shroom, potentially see if they can see an extra spot. Has the fire, trying to match it up. Not going to hit CPE, but at least going to get second place here. The pack is insanely close. I do see a US player getting last. I think an Italy player getting 11. Actually bought 2 for the US, but still a 1-3-4 here for the States.
Okay, so I'm not gonna lie, I was watching the live stream POV and not the screen share. So I was casting that race was a bit behind, so that is just completely on me, my fault. But very strong race for USA, like you said, 1-3-4. I have diverted my eyes back to the correct screen here, as now this lead is looking even stronger now. This is what, a plus 90 for USA, yep, with only 5 races left to go. It is still very doable, but for Italy against a team like USA, it is going to be no easy feat.
Yeah, especially with the US is one of those teams which, when they play with a lead, they just play very comfortably here. They've had a few moments in this MKWC so far where they've come down, but usually when they have a lead, they hold on to it for a decent amount and usually are able to just maintain it the rest of the way. That kind of control is just so powerful for a team like this. Going into Acorn Heights now for this next race, really interested to see, especially with those first couple of item sets and how powerful shrooms are when it comes to establishing the front run early on in this race. Interested to see how this ends up playing out here, and especially if you're Italy, if they have any kind of ideas to really just put a halt to what the US has been doing.
Yeah, and as we enter Acorn Heights here, a track that we have seen a lot of in this World Cup, and specifically talking about this with AJ on cast, you know, this track is just so hard to break group runs on. So if a team, and you know, looking at the pack right now, it looks like USA is mounting yet another group breakaway here for them. Breaking a group run like that is just so difficult with how much of this track is rail dependent. It becomes really hard for the other team to break away when you just have so many free backspam opportunities from the team that's group running. But Rapolo, you know, despite saying that, he's saying I have something to say about that with triple reds, but I think all of them are going to break as Oxy has enough items to protect. And now the group run from USA, I believe that's Arizu, CP, and Oxy able to maintain their lead at the moment.
Yeah, that's a brutal situation to be in if you're a Rapolo. Having those triple reds, and I think there were some even more items in the back behind them as well, potentially do something to that US top 3, but really, you still see it here. This group front run is just so difficult to break through at this point. Triple Bananas, not exactly the item you want to be having here if you really want to make a play. Has the Boomerang here, CPE kind of in range, but there's another set of triple reds here from Rapolo. And now watching the back also to see if there's maybe any other things you see do go after the build being in forward here and seeing if anything else can happen to break through this US tops.
He can go for the red shell on CPE here, and he will. It's a big hit, but a shock coming in, and that's, yeah, looking like a USA shock as we do see AJ dodging in that mega, and another Bill dodge as well from, looks like Arizu. Another top 2. Swooping in at the end is AJ, taking that first place, and potentially even more for USA. Top 2, 4, 6, 8, very similar to the previous race, and again, this is starting to look undoable at this point for Team Italy. They are down, yeah, over 100 points at this stage with 4 races left. It is looking grim.
It really is. The US just been chaining a lot of those like plus 10s to plus like 16s and in a row, and it's just been difficult for this Italian team to do anything at this point here. You saw that they've had the strategies, you saw them have different approaches they've been taking as well, and it's just been a nightmare. The US, whether it be controlling it from the tops, but also having that kind of back presence as well as the item play. Like, they had top 3, they also had shock at the very end there, so they were able to just kind of control the race on all fronts, and that's just been the general theme for this United States team, who's been looking so good so far as we go into Moo Meadows to kick off the last Grand Prix of Game 1.
And here we have it, the Moo Meadows.
Appropriately this time.
Yes, for sure, as we do have Moo Meadows coming in. Would love to have those types of cinematics for World, but we just don't have the modding capability yet for this game to make those types of shots. But shout out to the Wii community for those. The production on their side has just been incredible for many years, and especially in the last World Cup, what they were able to do. And also helping us out with our own assets and stuff for our streams as well. So big shout out to them, particularly Astro, from their side, as we now enter back into Mario Kart World here. AJ with a Shroom in first, being held. A very strong spot for him, but Dugos, or that's Arujo actually, saying, nope, let's get you on out of here, and taking over first with another red shell as well. And Arujo actually dropping again to hit. Okay, but AJ does not get hit as he does pull out the triple nanas, so able to survive. But a very solid start for Italy on Moo Meadows, and do want to mention this is one of their specialty tracks. One of their comfort picks. They often go for this in their matches, so looking to see if this is their potential start of the comeback.
Yeah, Italy has thrived on Moo Meadows this tournament especially, so to see them bring it out here in essentially what feels like a do-or-die moment in this Game 1, not surprised at all. You do see that they are maintaining that top 2, US right behind in 3-4, and the back pack is just split up at the moment here too. And these next few items are really going to be telling for who's going to be winning this race overall. Italy still in first place, US right behind in those 2-3s. AJ filling out multi there. A few players be taking these cuts now, and all of these moments just super pivotal here. Polo not going to get onto the cow there for the extra bounce, and now just seeing if they're going to be able to get anything else here in terms of what these items are. Watching the map here, you see those triple greens, one mushroom. There is a shock as well coming through. A few Italy players were able to pull it up by the water up bounds. What a rough set of items there for Rapolo. Could have been a really big race for Italy. Just have to see what the rest of the results ended up panning out to be.
And that's so costly, as that's a bottom 3. And look, 136, I think that could have been such a strong race for Italy there, but so much happening on Rapolo's screen that lap 3. He went for the cow bounce, as the community has endearingly called it, and now in order to make the distance and get to the cow, you do need to collect the coin on that ramp, and him unfortunately missing the coin didn't give him the distance. Also, touching the double in 7th because of that, and not able to keep a good spot individually, and that resulted in him getting the triple greens. He somehow managed to dodge behind the shock with the shroom, so a really good catch-up potential, and then I believe it was one of his own green shells that he threw away, bounced back and hit him, so just so much to unpack from that lap 3 there. Really unfortunate for Team Italy, as I think this war is... actually, no, I don't think it's mathematically over, but it's very close. Italy would need at least 2 top 6s and then another, like, top 5, 8 or something like that to get back into this war.
Yeah, it's basically 6 points away from being effectively over at this point, or mathematically done. It's a 114-point lead for the U.S. with 3 to go here. And it's such a tragic moment there, as we were discussing, from Italy on one of their best courses to be set up for like such a big moment, and then just a few things falling short there, a few misplays, and the execution not completely there. But here we are, cheap balls. At this point here, if you are Italy, you are either playing for just the added momentum, or you're staging one of the biggest comebacks we have ever seen in Mario Kart history by being able to get overcome the 114-point deficit with 3 to go here. You see Italy up in top spots, with Rapolo up there in second, with this creating this Italy top 2. AJ right behind, though, in 3, able to feather on up, get up into this 3rd place, fighting for second here, and see if they're going to be able to do anything, or at least from Italy, to like maintain this top 2, or at least get any kind of run going.
Yeah, a very strong start for AJ in particular here, and Rapolo too. Both of our POVs in 2-3 at the moment. Very strong for them. Did want to know, it looked kind of scary for AJ when he took his lap 1 shortcut. He shroomed to the right of that pillar into the signs, and when that happens, you often go out of bounds, but managing to stay in bounds there is a very slight window there where if you enter there, you can stay in bounds, so able to hold on to that. As AJ gets comboed multiple times, as he is now back down to the bottom, but looking at the pack right now, I believe this is going to be a top 2 now, as second place from Italy goes around, and Rapolo also failing. This is going to give... that's just going to hand USA top 2, and this is for sure going to confirm the win here for them. Shock coming in as well late, dodging a few of USA on the line. Yeah, it was AJ in the Mega, and that is going to be curtains for our first match after 10 races. USA taking the win.
And what a statement here, too. It's like they're able to get another top 2, or top 2 even more here, and they're top 5 plus 7 overall. It really just goes to show how strong this US team is. When it comes to the overall scoring, it's like really balanced when you look at all 6 of those players here, and they're just doing and winning in so many different ways when it comes to either the front run, whether it comes to the mid pack, which is something Italy has traditionally thrived on. And it's been difficult here for Italy. They do have the next 2 races, as well as game 2, and potentially game 3 if they can push it to that point to make something happen here. But if you're Italy at this point, it's now just seeing what can you do, get some momentum going into the next one. With it being a best of 3, you're not out of it completely, but you want to at least get a positive on the board here, I would think, just to create some extra kind of momentum, motivation, especially considering you got another war to go.
Yeah, and any experience that Italy can gain from the last 2 races of this war, I think are going to be valuable for them going into match 2, as with again, something we've talked about before. Any type of experience you can gain in these high-level matches, especially in a tournament setting, is going to prove to be valuable here, as we are entering Toad's Factory. And something we were actually talking about in between our casts here with AJ, a track that USA really prefers. It's one of their comfort picks. We talked about how Italy has Mumu as a comfort pick, and this is USA's here. So very interesting to see what strategy they opt for here.
Yeah, and you see this opening pack, as it typically is on Toad's Factory, is just insanely close here. Now, who's going to have these mushrooms to take this cut and potentially see, with all the carnage happening, who's going to be able to maintain tops? Currently, the U.S. is still up in those upper spots, maintaining what looks like it's a top 3 at this point, up until Italy is starting to claw their way back, and Rapolo also staying back to see if they can change for any better items here, as well as see what is in play from the U.S. in the back spots. So the top 2 for the U.S. at the moment, Italy's 3rd place getting hit out there, and you certainly see a bit of a breakaway starting to form for the U.S. in the top 2.
Yeah, top 2 from USA are gone at the moment, as we do see AJ as well trying to break in as well. And triple reds coming in from, I believe this is Domenico here, and I don't believe any of them hit, as USA are still gone, but AJ himself has to watch out for more triple reds from Italy. But I think they were taken care of by that Mega Mushroom, as now both are POVs in 4 and 5. AJ looking to pull something offensive to take out that 3rd place Domenico. Blue Show coming in for Italy. I don't believe... Actually, no, USA did have a dodge, so they are able to dodge. And look at all of the USA players catching up at the very end. This is a top 3 all of a sudden for Team USA, and bottom 2, I believe, for Italy in the end. A very, very strong race for USA. I can see why they like this track. They were able to break away. It was Oxy and Pepe up there in the front. And they also very effectively caught up at the end. So very well played from USA here on their comfort pick.
Yeah, it's their bread and butter for a reason. Basically just have the entire Industrial Revolution at that point. And the U.S. finds themselves top 6 overall in terms of individual scoring, and they're just winning it and being able to maintain that top spots, get that kind of breakaway, and their mid-pack especially. When you consider how Italy is known to be so strong in that way, the U.S. has done such a great job of mitigating that and making Italy really work for it. And it's been a lot of those like fights in those like back half where it's been really what it feels like has been changing the entirety of this war. It's a big reason why the U.S. are up in this point. U.S. finds themselves 1-0 in this set, 1 game away after this race 12. We're moving on into the semifinals where they face the winner of, I believe, France and Germany in the semis.
For sure, and I had something to say, and now oh, yes. France and Germany being the other match that's happening over on our YouTube, so if you guys are not tuned in over there, we've got multiple casts for you going on, with France-Germany happening on the YouTube. I believe was just told that match is France took the win over Germany in 9 races, so a very impressive feat from them on the other side here. But going back to our match, last race being Desert Hills here, and Rapolo pulling out the Pianta here. Very awesome to see this character, as you know, not one we see very often at all. He is just too heavy and just does not have good enough handling to be in the meta, as a big Nana Snipe coming in from AJ. But a Shroom being held from Rapolo, he is still in a solid spot.
Yeah, with a slightly bigger hitbox also for the Pianta, just being a target there for Agent to land that Banana Snipe. You get the slightly better water speed if you manage to get over with this no item shortcut there at the end too in the water. But here we are, US
What?
just maintaining all these top spots. AJ staying back, fighting over there with getting the reds and all of that in there. As you all just saying, the attack is really spread out, but here we are, it's Desert Hills lap 3.
Yeah, very on-brand play from Italy, chaining triple. I'm not sure what triple item it was, but chaining triples into AJ, and a shot coming in undoubtedly for USA. Look at all of these dodges coming in. AJ with a golden in pocket, Saber with the triple shrooms, and this is looking like another top 4 and a very solid statement to end the war.
Yeah, and yeah, the US, even though they've already had it wrapped up, they just want to add some extra points there. It doesn't matter what kind of characters Italy is going to be bringing out. It's a top 4, 7-10. Just to put an additional exclamation point to what this war has been. A top 6 overall for the US as well in terms of scoring. And yeah, it's just been all the states here with a big statement win in this first game.
And, you know, referring back to what we mentioned at the start of this cast, not a surprising result, I would say. USA having just all of these star players and that synergy they've built up over many months playing together. They have consistently scrimmed, not only scrimmed, but scrimmed the top teams over the past few weeks, gaining that experience and honing in their skills and chemistry and all of those wonderful things. And, you know, the work paying off, we can see it here. Top 6 overall, like you said, all the players, I think every single player on this roster contributing everywhere. And that's what really what separates good teams from great teams. Every player being able to not only keep up in the front, but being able to catch up well, being able to bag, being able to pack play, being accurate with items. All those types of things contribute when it comes to separating you know, and seeding teams, and USA showing their capability in all aspects here in this match 1. A really strong result. And going into match 2, Italy here, potentially looking at these matches and reflecting what can we do going into the next match. What can we change? What is, you know, the biggest things that we can change here? But, you know, the big thing, the elephant in the room, if you will, is the mindset. How are they feeling going into this one? Can they maintain composure and move on from this match saying it's over and done with, let's focus on the next one?
Definitely. Italy, such a strong team on that end here, and they've proven that they can hang with the best of them. Like the tie with Spain in the last stage earlier in this tournament definitely shows that they are one of those teams who can hang, who can be up there with the best of them here. It's just going out there and actually proving it here. It was a 190-point win for the US, but Italy, with some time to recoup, get some motivation here, take a bit of a breather, take a bit of a break. Maybe they come back into this game to like a brand new team. Maybe it ends up just being a much closer game, and who knows, maybe Italy has a chance to really take a swing and push us to a game 3.
Yeah, we'll have to see, as we are getting an update from the players here. They are going to open the next lobby at 55, so starting a bit early here, but currently this war was pretty fast. We did not play Rainbow Road. Now that I'm thinking about it, that is why we are done so early. So very rare to see a war without Rainbow Road at this point, but that does mean we are able to take a bit of a break. So don't go anywhere. The next room will be open in about 5 minutes, and we will be back with the second match.
And we are back here with coverage of MKWC quarters. We got game two, USA versus Italy. US came in hot after a 190-point win in that game one, considering their group stage or their bracket stage, mind you, has been insane up until this point, and they have yet to drop a match this tournament. It's been brutal so far. Italy trying to see what they can do to change this, keep their hopes alive to make a semifinals run in the MKWC. Once again, I'm Spicy, joined on the mic here with Mitch. Mitch, what are you looking forward to going into this next game?
Yeah, I'm, hopefully looking for Italy to mount some sort of comeback after that match one. A rough one for them for sure, as USA dominating in all aspects. That when we talked about this a few minutes ago, how in the front, just a dominant force. Even on races, like for example, Shy Guy Bazaar last race, where Italy were 2 through 6 going into lap 3, they still managed to win the race without a shock, just being able to catch up and use their items correctly. And so just in all aspects, USA doing a fantastic job here. But hopefully looking for an answer from Italy. And I know they are capable. We've seen them have some incredible results. Again, tying against Spain. Can't over, or how can I say this? Really, have to give big props to them, as Spain also expected to be a top 4 team at the very least going into this tournament, and tying against them. So they are capable, also having 2 convincing wins yesterday and their round of 16. So a very strong, capable team, and just hoping that they are able to bring something back going into the second match. As looking at USA's lineup, no changes. They are rolling with their same core that we just saw, and what an effective core of players.
It really is. You look at this top 6, and legitimately they were top 6 overall in scoring, as we kept discussing in that game one. Strong in the front, strong in the back, and having that kind of mid-pack presence, it really just separates what this Team USA compared to like what it feels like in prior MKWCs, where this team really feels like they have a shot to go all the way here. And they even, if you look at the bench players, you got Gyarados and Yezi as standby subs at the moment. Quality players in their own right. And the plus minus, I think, is probably the biggest indicator of how strong this team has been. 394, and all 3 of their knockout stage games so far have been plus 100 point wins.
Yeah, just a dominant force, like we've said. And one thing to note as well, a player that you may be wondering where they are, unknown. Not playing for USA today, but was told by AJ he works on weekends, so his schedule kind of prevents him from playing. But in case people are wondering, he would definitely be another really strong contribution to the USA lineup, but just not available for today, as we're now looking at Team Italy. As a bit of an error on our graphic here, we do see Lucky on the lineup and on the bench for this graphic, but he is actually playing this war, subbing in for, I believe, Arujo. Yeah, so Lucky, more of an up-and-coming player, I believe, playing with the team Daedalo, which is more a middle division team. But having a recent come up and getting a chance to play with Team Italy here against USA, a big opportunity for him. So looking to see what he can contribute to the lineup. But again, the same familiar faces we saw in the front throughout the match: Domenico, Nico, Rapolo, Multi, and of course Dugo.
Yeah, excited to see how Lucky ends up contributing towards this Italian lineup. We mentioned, or we discussed before, how Italy is traditionally built around the Battle Alliance teams, the Battle Alliance family, and that's why their chemistry is so good, and being able to have that kind of play just across the pack. It was really made their middle players so strong, or that kind of strategy so good for them here. Adding Lucky in, the different type of player, different kind of mindset, really fresh to coming in at this point here, and in high pressure situation. Italy 1 match away from potentially being knocked out of the MKWC, trying to do anything they can. We have Multi as the host, so Italy does have a chance to see if they're able to do something from the top spots. It was so rare to actually see Italy up in first in that first game, but that goes to credit how strong the US was in one, establishing tops in the beginning as well as supporting them from the back. So let's see what Italy can do now in this first race, now that they have at least have first.
Yeah, we'll see if they can capitalize on it, as again, we are experimenting with this new alternate spots rule for this World Cup, seeing how those impact the first initial race of each war. As we do have, I believe, 11 in the lobby, so getting very close to starting here. And yeah, right as I say it, perfect timing. Getting into match 2 here. And going to see what Italy opts for, and USA, but Italy going Dandelion Depths, a very interesting pick considering they have those top spots here. And USA going for MBC, a track we saw them dominate on in the last match.
Yeah, and instead we're going to Acorn Heights, which is one of the many selections from the US here, where it was kind of just the variety at play. But the US, they were dominant on Acorn Heights, being able to control that group run from the beginning of that race there, after they were able to establish tops of pulling Shrooms and then winning the opening mid-pack battle. Then also having that kind of back presence to really catch up in the back and just win on all fronts. So it's a matter of seeing what can we do now for Italy, who starts in first. See a bunch of players who are able to pull those mushrooms early on here. Notably Domenico also in that mid-pack here with those shrooms. And here in the second set, Rapolo not going to be able to pull anything, unfortunately, at this point. But you do start to see, at least from the beginning, US up in first and Italy maintaining a couple spots in the back.
Yeah, missing the first initial item sets of any track has always been detrimental, but especially with the new update, losing out on potential triple shrooms multiple times is very, very costly here, as we do see AJ with a ghost of his own, using it on the vines at the end to protect himself, as we do see Dugo swerving with the Mega, something he is very well known for in these matches, as that puts AJ all the way in the back now. Probably going to... I actually don't know if he touched that box in bottom two. I couldn't quite tell. But he does pull the golden bill, so probably going to opt to catch up soon here, as that is Lucky in the back right now for Italy. Suspiciously driving without using any items, so I wonder if the shock's potentially already in play for Italy here. If it is, could be big, as there are a lot of them in the back right now.
Yeah, it's first place still Italy, but it's 2 through 5 potentially here from the US. And you know that Italy does have some spots in the back. Yep. They're able to pull some stuff. It was their shock. And now, with a couple items that's also still in play here, it does give that opportunity for players to have those mushrooms going into the last couple of turns here, as well as that big shortcut there. US still in first place now, actually taking over. They're in a 1-3-4, potentially more position here. Rapolo trying to see what they're going to have. Multi, unfortunately, pulling those greens right on top. And it does look like we're going to get at least a 1-3 as Rapolo falling here. 1-3-4 from the US, with Italy just having to settle for all the spots in the back.
Yeah, Italy's shock not going their way here on this race, as a 1-3-4-5-7 for USA here. And, you know, that shock was just too early, I fear. They were... it just gave USA too much time to come back, and that's something we've also talked about on our cast. Using earlier shocks like that, it's really they can benefit in the short term, but in the long run, those types of shocks just give so much agency for the other team, who was, you know, supposedly target shocked, to make a comeback. And with 2 sets left for USA, they were able to weather the storm and even gain even more spots off of it. So very unfortunate there for Italy, but I do also believe, based on the pack split, they were really far behind, at least in the bottom spot, so maybe some more of a desperation shock than anything there, but really strong race for USA in the end. And we are now going into another track with a very strong shock potential being Drivelands Burnout.
Yeah, Burnout, one of those tracks that in this tournament alone has been insane when it comes to having big races on. Where teams will bank on this and they will have those opportunities to just have an insane race. You've seen like this 18-point lead that the US has. We've seen that kind of thing turn around in one race thanks to Burnout. Has a lot of those like big shock potential, especially at the end after the glider and into that last set. Those kinds of opportunities are going to be pivotal to watch for, especially when we consider potential packs for them. A lot of players up here with those triple shrooms. Apollo also having the triple greens in the back, but unfortunately getting bumped all the way to the bottom path and having to settle for the items down there.
An interesting strat from AJ, going to drive backwards for a 12th place double here. He is going to get a Bill Golden, but surely going to be taking the bagging role for his team, as both of our POVs are in bottom 2 at the moment. Both 2 Italy players actually stopping on this set. Golden pole for Rapolo, and Bill after a very strong pull for him now, as he will have a ticket back into the front at the end of the lap here with this Bill. And we do see Italy holding down first right now, actually, as we do see Dugo being the next highest spot getting hit out. So it is one Italian player in first still, but all by himself. I have to assume that's Domenico. I believe he was using the Baby Peach last match as well. Bill being used now by Rapolo, gonna cover some ground here and catch up to these players. But look at Oxy here, triple reds in fourth. If his Bill didn't remove them, he is gonna get redded with the Shroom to recover though. He is still in a decent spot. Also with fire now. And does not hit Pepe. I think Pepe was too far ahead of the fire there, as Italy is now out of first as well.
Yeah, it was looking similar to what we saw in Acorn Heights, where Italy was in first and then a lot of the US just able to be right behind and eventually take over at this point. And now it's the US in this top 2 position here. We have Rizu and AJ up here. I have to see if anything in the back for Italy to potentially make something happen here. Top 2 looks like it is going to be kind of set at this point. US should be able to secure that. View the blue over in the back there might not be a good sign for Italy as we try to see what is going to be the result. And it's a top 2, 4, 5, 7, and another big race for the US, who are still capitalizing on all the momentum from that first game.
Yeah, another strong opening statement for the US. And, you know, we are seeing Italy with 1 or 2 players managing to get in the front, but they are just continuing to be overwhelmed by the amount of front presence that USA is providing in all of these races. AJ playing the clip from that lap 1, going backwards multiple seconds to get that double. Play that ended up working out for him, as he, you know, especially so early on in the race, I think it's valid. It gave him a ticket back to the pack, as if he hadn't gone for that box. He did have Shroom still, granted, but still, I think either way, he was still in a decent spot to at least stay with the pack. But yeah, now entering Salty Speedway here, and we saw USA. I believe it was Yoshira on this race last war, dominating in the front. We'll see if that can be replicated.
Yeah, it's just seeing which US player is going to be up in the front, really trying to contest and then establish that breakaway here. The US really gets that group front run going. It is going to be difficult to break them out here on Salty. And it's now seeing what can Italy do, a team known for their pack play, known for their ability to play cohesively. Can they work together as a unit to stop the US from getting any more damage earlier on this race? We do see the 3rd place player from Italy getting hit out, so it does give a little bit more space for the US front run so far, and they find themselves in top 2 for the US as well as last place too.
Yeah, and very interesting from AJ opting to trick down to the bottom path, try and get better items. Once again, he has the golden to maintain a spot near the pack, but I think he is going to opt for the bagging here, touching 2 and 11th, golden triple shroom. So not quite what he's looking for just yet, so going to maintain his spot in the back for now. Meanwhile, we do see yet again another USA player on that swoop, breaking away in first. And I only see one Toadette this time. I can only assume the singular Toadette is Arizu, the character that they've opted to play for many months now. So Yoshira may be back on the swoop and maybe the one in first again, but a decent amount of Italy in the mid pack right now. But a Ghost also spawning in from USA, so a top 3 for them right now. A very strong start of lap 3.
I'm curious to see what does Italy have in the back spots in case they have Shock or another item to potentially break through these US tops. Rapolo is up here in third place. Triple Red as well as the Super Horn should be able to hit Pepe out here and potentially at least get something going. You see CBE also right behind though. It is only Rapolo up here in second. The Boomerang is not going to be connecting here. Rapolo able to get onto the cut, but not going to be able to take it fast. And that is a massive win again for the US, who secures at least maybe a top 4, it looks like here. And just really chaining all these big races together. Top 4, 7 for them.
And that was once again Yoshira in first place, running it up twice in a row for his team. Very strong plays, or very strong running once again here for him, as now that fail from Rapolo, going for the strat to break the crates with his green shells, but unfortunately he pricked into the pole, which gave him an extra trick and didn't allow him to break the crates. So it was very unfortunate for him. You know, something he may be thinking about for a while here, as now USA off to a very similar start to the last match, and no real like counterplay from Italy in sight at the moment.
Yeah, you see Italy opting for Peach Beach as a potential option for them, but instead we are going to Bowser's Castle, another one of those courses where a player establishes a breakaway, or especially if a group establishes a strong front run. It is a nightmare to take them out of it here, especially with all the variety of shortcuts. We knew that Italy did have the target shock in the first game against the US, but it really didn't do too much overall. So curious to see what they're going to be able to do, whether it be really contesting and managing to break away in fighting for these top spots, or seeing if they'll have the items to navigate a potential mid-pack situation for them again. Both players on POV able to take the Beyblade cut over, and now just seeing who's going to be able to make their way up into the top. It is still the US at the moment, with a lot in those front spots, with Italy also in the back.
AJ threatening with the greens, tried to swerve into Rapolo, but not going to reach. But he doesn't make the Beyblade. He didn't get the trick off of the wall that's going to cause him to fall off. If you don't get that trick, 99% of the time you do just fall off, as you cannot make the distance over to the platform. And that does put Italy in a bottom 5 right now, if I'm seeing that correctly. AJ trying to troll here with his shells. Not quite going to work out, but will probably be dropping as... No, he's actually going to keep going in 10th. So, you know, being it so early in the race, potentially, you know, and with how many top spots USA has, not even going to try to contest for the shock just yet, as we do see yet again another USA player, could be even be Yoshira again, breaking away in first. A very common theme for this war so far, as now Italy desperately need an answer. They need a shock, they need a blue shell, they need anything.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a combination of items at this point to get anything for Italy up here. You do see that Pepe is in fourth now, being the last line of defense, at least for this front pack here. But AJ also going to be billing on up. Everyone covering these items that's in case of another shock on lap 3, like we saw Italy do earlier in this matchup. But it's not going to really be enough at this point. The US is holding on to so many top spots here, and there's not a lot of space left for Italy to make a catch-up.
Yeah, we do see Lucky in fourth place. A nice ring going to hit AJ there, but he has the shrooms to recover. as we do see Lucky, yeah, does get hit out before the cut. Star barely getting off, AJ barely getting it off in time to not get maned, as nice coordination there. Pepe able to shroom tight of him in the cut, and this is a top 5. No, top 4-6. Dominico barely shrooming up at the end, but running away with it once again is USA, and actually Oxy ending up being the player in first with that breakaway. A very solid showing from him. And again, all the USA players equally showing up in the front when they are needed for their team. And we are already looking at over a 100-point swing after 5 races.
It is insanity at this point here. It's just a masterclass from this US squad, and they don't even have like necessarily everyone on their team you want available. You mentioned that Unknown isn't playing right now due to work obligations, and this United States team, it doesn't matter who you have in lineup. They're very well coordinated, very high chemistry with this group, and able to just kind of fill in as needed here. Italy looking for any kind of response here at this point. Already being down 100 after the first GP is a nightmare. Not a spot you want to be in at this point, but never mind here. Just gotta see what they're going to be able to do and see if they're gonna have any opportunity to make something happen as we go here into Peach Stadium.
A very interesting track pick for this war here, and again, very big potential for this race to swing either way. Although I will say, with the update, it can be, it can, like, what is the word I'm looking for? It can function as a runner. There we go. With the changes, as now so many people are just able to shroom up instantly, even more than before due to the update. And now, as we do see, this is at least 4 players who had pulled shrooms on the first set, probably more, as many of them actually being Italy here. I think Italy taking a majority of the top spots early, but first, at the very least, still being held by USA. And I think this is a not quite. Bottom 4, I think, for USA. But again, with so much track left to go, they are definitely looking and able to make that comeback.
It's a big moment here now for Italy, who is finding themselves in a 2-3-4 position. Did see a player rotate back as well, just to make sure that they do have that back presence, considering the US being in a bottom 4 situation is very dangerous, considering how much of this race there still is here. You do see a few more changes of the spots. Italy now, it looks like in first place, maybe top 2 it looks like here as well, giving them an opportunity to maybe make something happen. But this pack is still fairly close overall, and you know that with items like triple shrooms and other like boosting items going to be in play going into the beginning of lap 3, the entire order is likely going to be changing.
Yeah, that was a blue shell hitting out USA's first place earlier, giving Italy a ticket to the front now. They are still holding on the top 2, but we did see a couple of USA billing up and golding up. You have to wonder, what items do they have in their pocket? As we now see the bagging POV from both teams here. They are both in the back on lap 3, trying to make this catch up. Bill pull in the pocket for AJ, Mega 4 for Polo, both very solid items. As we do see AJ opting to hold this Bill for just a little bit to make it around the spiral here. Shrooms in pocket is quite good for him. And his Bill is going to end in time to chain. Very solid here. But not chaining all 3 shrooms. Very curious. And he does not pull the shrooms behind. He was too high up to guarantee a shroom pull. He has to be careful of this player with triple manas from Italy. Going to avoid, and a nice Bill up from Rapolo at the end, going to take 3rd, but yet again, top 2 for USA. Pretty much confirming another race win for them.
Yeah, just another one of those races where even though you did see Italy have themselves in a position to make something big potentially happen here, US just having a strong set of items going into lap 3, able to kind of change up the order here. We did see that Italy did take a lot more of those middle spots compared to the other races that we were seeing previously, but overall, it's still another positive here for the US who are just continuing to add to this lead.
It's continuing to mount up for Team USA as we enter race 6. And again, looked promising for Italy. They had the top spots going into lap 3, but with how much of USA were in the back on lap 1, just gave them such a prime opportunity to catch up with so many shortcuts and so many bill extension spots, all those types of things to make that comeback possible. And USA using all of them to their advantage now. As we do see a very interesting selection of tracks on our board here, and that is going to be Peach Beach coming in for Team Italy. And a track honestly, I can only think of maybe 1 or 2 times we've seen this track on cast here, as it is a very, very interesting track that functions, it functions very oddly, especially after the update.
Yeah, functioning of this track is debatable. It's been like that for basically the entirety of the game's lifespan. It's kind of divisive depending on who you ask here, but opportunities now, potentially. Italy maybe make something happen here. Notably, Section 3 is just so chaotic at times, especially with being in the water sections, with how powerful mushrooms are, and the ability to just take a bunch of these mushrooms up into these higher spots. There is the cut on Section 2 as well. You can kind of give yourself a breakaway, but it's an interesting dynamic that a lot of teams will end up getting the chance to play on here. You do see the US having a few of those top spots, as well as a few players in the back of hole also dodging the tight bomb here. But yeah, with a few other of these players able to be in the upper mid pack who had the mushroom potentially to take this cut here, a few other players were able to break it on open. Still see the US in this couple of top spots, but Italy is controlling a bunch of that upper mid pack at the moment.
Yeah, I'm wondering how many of those players have mushrooms to go for the cut in the middle of Section 3 with the crates. As we do see, Shroom being held by Rapolo up here, but crates are already broken, no need to use it. He can hold it for the end if he chooses to, or may opt to chain as well, go for the triple Shrooms. He is in 5th place, in quite a solid position to potentially pull them here. But shot coming in, that is into set for him, but I think a lot of his players directly in front of him got afterwards, so now we do see AJ yet again dodging up into a top spot, but Italy getting first there. I think this is the first time this match where they got first, if I'm not mistaken. So, solid for him. Yeah, it's going to be multi, but a 2 through 6 for USA off of, certainly their shock, as now continuing to break away with this war.
Yeah, it's unfortunate there. Italy with the first place, but it's still a negative, I believe, here as well, as US is controlling everything behind first there, and has put themselves in a really solid position where even if they don't get first, they're able to continue to put so much pressure on here. Italy in a very dangerous spot where you have first, but none of the spots behind to really offer that extra support when you consider the opening of this next race. So dire situations to be in here. US continuing to add to this momentum, and when you consider that over on the MKWC YouTube, France is also doing big things against Germany. We are looking poised for a US versus France semifinals.
Yeah, looking at the potential update of that matchup, France in a very solid lead as well, very similar to what we're seeing on this in this particular match. So, what is looking to be going to be the semifinal matchup on this side of the bracket, like you said, is we are entering GBR now, and this track we saw earlier with Japan versus Canada, and we saw Japan putting on a clinic, catching up very well, despite Canada having a lot of tops early on, and so, especially in that second war, as I think we saw it both wars. So, multiple strategies, once again, able to be employed on this track and work effectively here, as AJ with the Shroom, but going to get ghosted immediately before the shortcut. Unfortunate setback for him as that only leaves one player from USA up in the top. Again, I think a lot of USA's players are switching around characters. Actually, no, that is a top 2 for USA still.
The US looking strong once again up in those upper spots, actually establishing a bit of a breakaway up there too, and you do see Italy trying to make something happen, whether it be from the back or in that mid-pack. A lot of blue so far in those middle spots. Blue Shell is going to come on out. Italy did take over second place here as well momentarily until they get hit out. So it looks like we're going to be back to a US top 2. Blue Shell is going to be taking over the glider. Looks like we're able to dodge it though, so strong opportunities here for the US to just continue to make another statement and add to this strong set of results so far for them. Italy trying to make something happen here. We are on lap 3. It's a matter of seeing if there's anything left to really just put a stop to what the US is doing.
Yeah, and there is no stop in sight. We see where we can right back to Rapolo, who was in second, getting bombed out. Nice horn trade, though. That's going to leave a 2-3 now for Italy. But a red shell coming for Rapolo, and yeah, he's not going to get the item he needs to block it. Forward respawn at the very least, but he is going to lose a decent amount of time for that regardless. As we do see Lucky all by himself in second place. Probably going to be able to maintain it. And AJ getting hit off the glider as well at the very end. That's going to give him last place. But 1 and then 3 through 6 potentially for USA, as I don't see any of them in the back. Towards the back other than AJ. And yeah, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. And mathematically, I'm wondering how close we are to it being match point here.
Yeah, it's good.
I don't know if we're there quite yet, but it's getting close.
Yeah, especially with the way the US team has been playing up until this point, we are coming probably very close to a matter where being mathematically in semis is going to be an option, probably around like race 9-10 at the earliest, I would think. It's just looking so dominant so far for this US team, reminiscent of what they were doing earlier in this matchup, as well as just this entirety of the MKWC knockout stage with a nice 2-0 win over Austria. Italy doesn't help that they had the disconnect, I believe, at the end of Crown City. It's in a rough situation for them to be in. We are going to Moo Moo Meadows, track which Italy traditionally has done very well on, but we did see the US able to mitigate what could have been a solid comeback win for Italy there in the first game, and maybe have another big race for the US, who's just adding on to everything they've been able to do so far.
Yeah, and Lisa's coming in for the US here, as we are being updated. If USA wins this race by plus 18 or more, they will have won the war automatically. So, seeing if USA can close it out here on Moo Moo Meadows, but again, Moo Moo Meadows being the comfort pick of Italy here, we'll have to see how they can fare here, as they were doing quite well and were, you know, very close to winning the race last time, but a very unfortunate ending for Rapolo in particular stopped it. But looking at the pack right now, a good start. Red Shell coming in for AJ. CPE slowing down, presumably with no item, as AJ also slowing down. I think we're about to witness some shenanigans here.
Yeah, definitely gonna see some crazy things happening here. You see a big pack split now. First place is effectively gone on the side of Italy. In fact, the entirety of Italy is looking like it's a top 5 at the moment. Meanwhile, the U.S. opting to play this from the back, knowing how strong some of these power items can be, especially when we approach lap 3. And the U.S. has shot could be a potential curse at this point here as well. Blue shell coming on now, but it's a big enough lead that it really won't do too much. Do see them going out of bounds to avoid it here. It's a top 2 here, and it's a top 2 now from Italy. But the U.S. starting to come back up here, see what they have item-wise to come back at the end.
Top 2 pretty gone from Italy, though, but we pan back in right toward Polo. I think he was going for the no-item shortcut there and missing it. And getting comboed as well. Very punishing for him as we're entering the last straightaway. USA now taking up 2-3 at the very least. If either of them have shrooms, they can just take first outright here. But all of them going around the cut. Rapolo taking many hits as well. Both of our POVs going through it, as we do see Italy holding on to first, but 2-3-4 at the very least for USA. And I'm not sure if that confirms it just yet. It's a winning race, but I don't know if it's by enough. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 11. I don't know if that's plus 18, but very close to it, as now basically curtains.
It really feels like it at this point, barring some crazy circumstances for Italy to pull off this comeback. The U.S. is in semifinals. Will be facing the winner of France-Germany, and what a way this U.S. team has played up until this point. Just so strong, so dominant. We've been mentioning it, how they're strong just all across the order, how every player been unselfish to this point, been able to be flexible and navigate whatever is needed to benefit the team. The team at this point just does not really have a visible weakness at this point. Granted, I would imagine one of the semifinalists will likely be able to adjust for counterplay at this, see what they're able to do to take down the U.S., but it's been a really strong performance and a big statement for the United States. As we go into DK Pass to end the last GP of this set.
And 12 Peepas on our screen now. Very wonderful to see. Not a character we see too many players, if any, use at a top level. I believe yesterday we saw Ollie on Team Germany using Peepa, but not a character we see very often, as Rapolo, rough start, missing the pole, so gonna have to go around here. As well as AJ, so both of our POVs in the back. Snowball as well for AJ. Watch out for that, as now many USA players starting from the back. But yeah, look at this mini-map. Never seen this before. Probably will never see it again. Peepa, a legendary character. Very happy to see representation here.
Yeah, just love to see the Peepa at this point here. I was happy seeing Pianta earlier at the end of Game 1. Now we get the Peepa, seeing that a couple campus and plays. We see the Snowmen up in the top 2 spots momentarily there. Italy with a big run at the moment here, able to just kind of establish that spot. Technically, they are not mathematically out of it, but it is going to result in 3 top 6s. Actually, it would take 4 top 6s in order to win outright. It's a 158-point deficit at this point, but it's still crazy to see. Really fun stuff here, and to see Rapolo having the build, having the triple mushrooms. Rapolo's been going through it. You saw it at the end of Moo Meadows once again, where they just kept getting knocked around and now having to play from the back. Seeing what they're really able to do here. Does have the triple mushrooms in play here. Back over to AJ, who is going to have the single shroom now, too.
Yeah, as we enter lap 3, the breakaway for the top 2 of Italy is mounting, but I'm not sure if it will be enough. Well, actually, we did see second place shroom up, so maybe it will. But again, no breakaway is safe on DK Pass with all of the potential catch-up. But AJ pulling shocks, spamming it instantly, not dodging any of his teammates, actually dodging Italy here, so have to wonder, in Div Shock, was that the case here? As we enter the line, a top 3 for Italy. And I believe we've just witnessed an in-div shock in the World Cup. Maybe a first.
Yeah, crazy things here. Get to witness history now, AJ having the individual focus shock at the end of that, just being able to just kind of spamming it. We're able to see a couple players maybe move on up, but it really did just secure the Italy win on that race there, as Italy did get some nice spots overall. Do know that now the US are mathematically guaranteed into semifinals though, so either way, wins for both sides, it feels like at that point here. So 3 races left to go now officially, and it's a matter of just seeing what else the US can do at this point to like just kind of just offer this kind of statement that they have. They're going to be likely facing France in this next round, and that's going to be poised to be an incredible match, especially considering the caliber and the talent of both those teams.
And as we enter our last race, a variety of tracks on the board, as you would expect at this point. And Dino Jungle coming in, a track that I've really only seen throughout this tournament maybe 2 teams favor here. Not exactly sure what we're wonderful. This is the type of production value that we have come to see from Mario Kart Central. It adds a lot of value. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I loved it when he was like, yeah, this is fantastic. I love to see it.
Yes, his personality is awesome, honestly, just to see. Hey, these are all people here as well. See love the people in the right corner of the screen as well. And hey, there's a lot of Peepas up here. It's a big winner for all the Peepa fans over in watching this broadcast right now.
Yeah, very wonderful to see the representation, like we said, and now entering race. This is race 10 now, Dino Jungle, like we said. USA in top 2 at the moment, but a decent amount of Italy in the mid spots, potentially with those shrooms. With how big of a shortcut this track has, it is so crucial to hold on to those for as long as possible, as yeah, we do see, we actually saw First take the cut as well. Unfortunate hit for AJ here, but with this bill, he is still in contention, and that's very curious Mega Mushroom there off the track. Very interesting, not exactly sure what happened there, but AJ also opting to drop one more time. If he can get a good item behind this bill, he's in a very strong spot. Mega, very solid for him. Or Apollo also building up with a golden in pocket. This is even better, and this is, I think, a ticket to a free first place. But Shock coming in, that's just going to immediately deny that, as we do see several USA dodging and shrooming up as well. This is looking like another big race for them.
Yeah, you see all of the red team in the top spots, and with looking poised, you saw Apollo with the golden mushroom. He's going to have the build to steal some extra spots here at the very end. Going to move up into 6th place here, but overall, with just one of those races where the U.S. able to turn it on its head there, just found themselves in a winning position, had essentially a checkmate move, get the top 3 here, and just adds to this lead.
I am looking at the chat. I'm seeing some people mentioning Luckio. Luckio is not our stream host today, as his internet is still going through it. It's Cesar, so you can credit him for the Peepa on our screen. As we are now switching off Peepa to Toadette. Very interesting here. As, okay, everyone's going Toadette. Looks like default Toadette. Very interesting. Not exactly sure on that. Let me look. Okay, so they are choosing Vantox's normal combo. That is what it seems to be. So that you know, honoring one of the legends here with this combo, as we're going into MBC. Did we already play this? Am I misremembering? Is this a repick?
I know we played it in the first game, I believe. And I'm struggling to remember actually. It feels like really close to when we last played it. I don't know if we actually played it in game 2, but I could be wrong on that.
Okay, AJ just did not get the memo, so we have one Peepa remaining in the lobby. Bro is getting caught lacking on cast here with the one remaining Peepa on screen, as now we are going into MBC. Maybe I'm just, probably not a repick, I'm maybe just misremembering. Also getting an update in the chat, France has confirmed their win of match 2 and will be moving on to the semifinals as well. So USA versus France being the matchup we see next weekend here on this side of the bracket.
Yeah, that's looking to be poised to be an amazing matchup. Yeah, France has had its ups and downs, but when France is confident and has looked strong, they have been arguably the best team here. In the US, the record speaks for themselves, the differential obviously here too. It's just been incredible to watch now. That will be one of the big highlights going into the semifinals there, as well as Japan versus the winner of Spain, England, which is coming in the next few days as well. To see all these Toadettes doing a great job here. AJ over with the lone Peepa in 11th place here, maybe last. Would be kind of fitting if we do see just 11 Toadettes and then AJ in last, but matter of seeing what ends up happening as we go into this lap 3.
Also did just notice we have now switched to Toadette on our screen in the top right corner. It took me a second, but you know, very solid character. I'm glad that just in general, we have such variety in the meta, a lot of different combos, even a year into the game still being viable here. As now entering lap 3, a big golden for Rapolo. He has to be careful of Oxy. Another shot coming in though. Oxy going to dodge into first place off of that for sure. And an unfortunate ice insult to injury for Rapolo here, as this is 11th for him. But solid race for Italy, all things considered. I think they got 2, 4, 5 off of that. 2, 4, 5, 6 even. Very nice.
Yeah, another one of those races for Italy. Traditionally, actually very similar to what they typically do in terms of their overall strategy, securing a lot of those like upper mid-pack spots. Even if they don't necessarily get first, they have gotten a lot of success in just being able to take over those races and to the very end and just steal some extra spots. So fun stuff here for Italy as we go into the final race of this round. So real crazy to see. We already know that France and Germany over on the MKC YouTube has been confirmed. So we do have the France with a 2-0 win there. We'll be meeting the US, who have won this set also 2-0 versus Italy, and both these teams have looked really strong in the knockout stage. So that should be an incredibly fun matchup here. Crown City in the roulette, whistle stop, Toad's Factory here. We're going to be seeing Crown City for the first time in this match, so should be fun to see. We do see a bunch of Toadettes here, and we did see AJ also move on over to the Toadette. So just a bunch of Toadettes going downtown into Crown City here. Should be a fun opportunity to see what we got here on the Vantox combo, Toadette Baby Blooper. See what we got to wrap up what's been an amazing weekend of the knockout stage between the round of 16 as well as the quarterfinals. Early opportunities to see which players are able to secure food and who's going to be going for the rails. AJ unfortunately getting knocked off at that point there, but had an opportunity to maybe get something at this next item set, especially in that 11th place spot. Pulls triple shrooms. You do see Rapolo here with the star as well. US players currently in top spots, with Italy just right behind as well. So, but here we are. It's the big cut in Section 1, one that really does change up quite a few things depending on who has the items to make something happen. You still see US in a couple of those upper spots. Looks like they do have at least first, with Rapolo over here in 5th with 2 mushrooms as well as the triple reds right behind AJ.
Yeah, and I came back to see us on Crown City. No surprise there, as Horn from AJ on to Rapolo here. And this is a top 3 now for USA. We see Pepe in second. Not exactly sure who's in first. Again, as we do see all this Toadette. What a recovery there from AJ, going for the very risky edge trick there, but managing to get back up onto the track. Not sure if I've seen a recovery like that from that specific trick before, but very well done. As we go into section, or about to enter section 3 here. Shroom Pole for AJ is huge here. He can take one of those big cuts at the end. As we see a pretty mixed pack in the back. Very interesting to see if Shock is going to come in.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if we will see a shock. It typically does happen on this lap 3, especially with all of the off-road cuts here too. It does so much damage, especially for those players who don't have this Ice Rapolo. Unfortunately, getting hit out there, getting squished by CPE in the mushroom. Having to see if it's a late shock in play. Rapolo does have it, but it is behind the Mega here. And a few players are going to be crossing the line potentially right before. Rapolo's going to at least chain into double. Gotta have the bullet bill, going to use the camera here as we see a 180 view as Poe getting at least a 6th place spot. First place going in favor of the US, and either way, Toadette wins here today. 135 for the US to cap off their 2-0 victory in this quarterfinal matchup.
Yeah, big win once again for Team USA. 2 very convincing wins today, and as well as yesterday. They must be feeling really good going into their match next week. Big congratulations to them. Very solid team. Looking forward to seeing them next weekend. Again, going up against France. That will be their opponent in the semifinals on this side of the bracket, like we've mentioned. And now do want to also shout out Italy again, a very solid run, making it to top 8 in the first place is a very strong feat. Again, their very impressive match against Spain and their 2 very nice wins against South Korea yesterday. Very solid team. Looking forward to seeing them in the future. And again, I mentioned this in, I believe, the group draw stream. Or maybe it was the match we casted on them last weekend, but the Italian community in this game, probably as big, if not bigger, than their original community forming on Wii. They're at such a peak at the moment, and really looking forward to seeing them continue into future tournaments and potentially for our World Cup next year, as it's been really awesome to see them grow, especially through efforts of players like Dugo, who have been in the scene for so long and promoting, competitive Mario Kart over there. So big congrats to them. Even though they do not move on here, they showed up huge in this World Cup. Looking forward to seeing them more, like I said. And with that, we are moving into a new segment of our stream we haven't seen yet today, but it was mentioned to captains at least earlier on, but we are going to have an interview here.
Yeah, looks like we'll be interviewing AJ and Yoshira from Team USA. Really excited to see what they have to offer in terms of the insights, and especially considering what their opening looked like in terms of the group stage, how they went over in this knockout stage, and they got some big matches coming up. So looking forward to hearing from them momentarily.
Also seeing in the chat for Italy, really quickly before we move forward, this ties Italy's best placement ever in the World Cup. This, being eliminated in the quarterfinals. So a big shout out to them, the efforts that they have been through as a community, as an Italian community, showing here this World Cup. And again, big congrats to them for making it this far. Really awesome to see. As now, shortly, we will be getting our players I do not want to talk about what I just did. Sorry about that. Hello. We will be dragging them in shortly. I'm not exactly sure who's doing that, but someone will be in here soon. Hello.
Oh,
We have our first player here. Hello, AJ.
How's it going?
Okay, we actually
hello,
have
CPE.
many of us coming in here. We also have...
And hello, Yashira.
Yes.
And the Italian people too.
Hey, so we've just got the whole squad
Everyone
coming
is
in.
here.
This is fantastic. Love to see it here. Hello, everyone. Again, we've got AJ, CP, Yoshira, and Multi here. Big. First off, USA, big congrats on your win here. Really awesome match to watch. Just all around, really incredible plays, and just a dominant performance overall. Really, big congrats. Big congrats to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we do have some questions for you. As thank you, shout out to Saystar as well for adjusting our stream here. I think our first big question though is USA. You guys are in the semifinals now. How does it feel? Top 4 team.
It was great. Especially because there have been a couple games that have kind of swung opposite of what you might expect. So knowing that we were able to, a lot of people wanted us to win, expected us to win. So we felt a little bit of pressure going into it. Like, Italy's a good team. They were able to beat Japan. So there was always that pressure. Like, if we lose, I feel like we would be letting people down. So it was nice to come out strong, get two good wins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been working for this for like a long time. Like we've been playing since January. Feels good at this point. We're one of the 4 teams left. We can really win this. It feels really nice.
Yeah, for sure. And Spicy, would you like to?
Yeah, another follow-up question on that for the US players. You have about a week or so to prepare for this next matchup against France in the semis. You mind giving us a little bit of insight into what your preparation's going to look like?
For sure. I think honestly last week we scrimmed. I think all 5 days in the morning. And by the end of it, we were a little bit fatigued. So honestly, we're gonna try to shoot for actually only like 2 or 3 days, probably in the morning. To make sure everyone's is well rested. Everyone's good. In terms of actual gameplay, we're against France. A really big thing is keeping your mental in check. They're so aggressive, so good at hitting you. It can be very frustrating to deal with. So just making sure everyone, no matter what happens, trying to keep the vibes up is going to be our biggest focus going into the game. For sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. As again, everyone here well aware, having a reputation at the top for so long, I think mental is going to be a huge factor. I can definitely see that. So definitely makes sense here. And one other, looking at our questions here, we have. I think, yes, you mentioned as well, no unknown today. We meant to point that out as well, but potentially no unknown as well next week. How do you think that's going to affect things? And, as strong of a player as he is, how much do you think that's going to affect you guys, not having one of your main players?
I mean, it sucks for sure. Unknown's a great player, and he is... always gonna be consistent and doing well. So not having him is bad for sure. But we have, a very strong top 8, top 9 players. So it's not like, I'm his replacement, right? So it's slight downgrade, but nothing to be concerned about. We can still compete with the best. We've beaten the best without him in lineup before. So no reason to think we can't, repeat that.
Yeah, and I think it's great to have confidence, and definitely makes sense as, again, you guys have proven with the variety of players you have, and with all the different strengths that you guys have, and coming together as a team, I think it makes sense that it can work out, even though it is a shame to not have him, as again he's in particular has shown such a strong presence in a lineup and just as an individual player. But yeah, really looking forward to seeing you guys next week. And I think that's all we have for now. Any final comments from any of you guys from on the USA side here?
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah.
We do appreciate you guys. All the shit that we
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you have anything else to say, feel free to go for it. Anything at all.
Let's go USA. That's all I have to say.
Yes, sir. Oh, and thank you, Logan, who made, I think, his first message debut in the USA server today. We got this, team. We got this.
Awesome. So thank you guys again. Congrats on your win. And I mean, while we have Dugo and Multi here as well, would love to ask you guys some questions as well. I believe in the chat someone mentioned this ties Italy's best result in World Cup ever. So how are you guys feeling about that?
Pretty good, actually. I've been saying this since we've made the team, like back in January, kind of same as USA actually. I think it's like the best team Italy we've had since forever. Because I think, like, if you think like about even like, I don't know, the Wii team that played last month, they're like usually having like 2-3 good players, and then the rest is like, not bad, but like not on at that point where you can compete with the stronger teams. I think this year, and we had the same problem AD as well when we played AD, but on this game, like, we have a lot of pretty good players, I think, and a lot of people have been improving a lot in recent months. I had a very hard time picking up the lineups for these games as well, to be honest. Like, this was not an issue I've ever had since leading the team, so it was a nice problem to have. It's nice that this game picked up a lot in our country. Like, our country has always been super small, so having a lot of players wanting to prove themselves has been nice and refreshing to have.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah,
I think like tonight's match, but to me, my only regret because like we wanted the matches to be closer, obviously. So it's like if there was one thing that changed, it would be tonight's result just a little bit, Other than that, I'm happy with like how we did the whole preparation period we had, and I think we had the great results with World Cup as well. Like, but yeah, I think we all did great. So.
Yeah, I think definitely you guys should be happy with your result overall. I think it was awesome to get to watch you, especially your tie against Spain. That was an incredible match to watch. Really glad we got to cover that one, and very solid results against South Korea as well yesterday. Really cool to see, and something I mentioned as well. And again, I forget if it was during the group draw or during your cast last week, but the Italian community, like you said, bigger and stronger than I think it's ever been since those Wii days, like way back. So
yeah, exactly.
Really awesome to see. And definitely you guys should be, if I were you, I'd definitely be happy with, the progress and the tournament result this time. So.
Yeah, now we're all happy with it, so.
Spicy, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, just a general question for everyone in here. It's a small population or small percentage of the community that actually gets to play at this stage. So what is it like to just share with everyone who's watching What's it like actually getting a chance to play in the MKWC, represent your own country then?
I think it's great, because the thing is, at the top level, pretty much everybody is friends. Like, everyone, they have their own kind of niche groups, but everyone knows each other. Everyone's pretty friendly with each other. So it's a nice way to kind of, get people from who might be on the same team and competing, with each other. Going head to head, it kind of makes it more personal because there's a bit more of a rivalry in a small community like this where everyone knows each other. Because like if you're competing in something, a bigger like big AAA title, there's so many players, you probably don't have that kind of personal connection with everyone at the top level. Whereas in something like Mario Kart, there's only a handful of people that compete in like D1, for example. It's like 60 people maybe. Everyone knows each other. So when we get to, go in something more personal like this where there's a bit more pride on the line, it's really fun. It's a really fun environment for sure.
Also, I'd say representing your country in anything is just really cool. Like the entire, for us, like all the Americans are rooting for us in this community. There's a lot of them. It's like really, really cool to play for the country.
You also get like to play with like other people that like you're not even on teams with. Like it's like a variety of like different teams competing with each other or and combating with each other to take on World Cup. So you get to meet new people as well while you're at it. Build chemistry.
I think that's the coolest part about it. Like, you get to, as AJ said, you get to play with people that you normally wouldn't play with. You usually play against some people, and then you team up with them to see how far you can go, I guess. And, I think that's the coolest part about it. I don't know if others in here can relate, but like when I joined the community, like when I started playing, that's been pretty long time now. It was like my dream to represent Italy at some point, like in an event like a World Cup or whatever. Like I don't know if World Cup wasn't really a thing back then, or at least I have no memories of it. But like I remember when I joined the community, I was like, oh, I want to represent Italy at some point, And I think for bigger countries like the US, when you get to that point, it probably feels awesome. So.
Definitely it's a good feeling, for sure.
Yeah. And it's the same, like some of the people on Team Italy have, like, DM'd me the same, and we're way smaller, so for a country as big as yours, it must be like best feeling ever. So.
Yeah, really awesome to hear that from all of you, and it's a really unique opportunity, and really great to have that perspective as again, being so selective and getting to build those connections, I think is also really valuable. I can see how that's really valuable, and that's why tournaments as well, like we have UML that will be coming up in October, I believe. So that's an experience for the community in general to have that too, I think is also really cool and unique. But with that, I think that wraps everything up here for us. Thank you all for coming on and answering our questions. We appreciate it. Again, congrats to US on the win. And again, congrats to Italy on such a strong result for the for your World Cup as well.
Thank you.
So yeah, thank you all so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you guys as well for organizing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course.